All right, guys, welcome back to yet another episode of the Let's Assess podcast. Today, we are going to dive into SnowCheck, kind of what we think the manufacturers are going to drop, what we think they should drop if they were smart, and then we're going to dive into kind of what we might SnowCheck if our speculations are right, and kind of what brand we're going to roll with next year.
Look, I don't want to talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft.
All right, guys, welcome back. So like we said, we're talking about SnowCheck today. So I have Marcus and AJ here with me. Marcus currently is riding a Skidoo. AJ is a Polaris. I'm a Polaris. So we're going to kind of dive into, are we going to stick with those brands? Or are we going to jump? And what we think is going to go on with each of those companies going into next year. So
yeah, what's up, guys? Welcome back. And if you're liking what you're hearing, continue following us on social medias. The links will be up there. Like, subscribe, follow, comment, everything like that helps us a ton. And, we're seeing the growth, and we really appreciate you all listening and having a care in what we have to say, I guess.
Yeah, guys, it helps us out a lot. So, all right, well, Marcus is back. He's still here. He decided not to go back to Minnesota and leave the promised land here in Colorado. So, all right, let's just dive into it. SnowCheck, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, so I honestly, I think Polaris is going to have to do something to, I wish they would do something to keep their sled's runnability better. I think that's what they should do. What they're going to do is not going to be that, though. I have a feeling they're going to drop something new, try to get hype to keep Polaris, as the top brand or whatever. I think 900 boost is what they're going to do. I really, you see that in the hill climb sleds. They have those custom sleds. I don't know if we're going to see hood change, plastic change, something like that to get some of that weight off the top. I mean, I'd love to see that on that chassis, a different light setup potentially. But I do think a 900 boost is what they will be dropping. And I think everything else, chassis, all that stuff will probably pretty much stay the same. And unfortunately, their electrical and their fuel pumps will probably be the same shit too.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, speaking on the hill climb things, I've seen some new hoods.
Yeah.
They're kind of like the skins, but they're not. They have like a ton of venting up.
Yep.
Like where that pocket is on the skins. Yeah. That looks sick. Mm-hmm. I wish they'd release that. Or like maybe it's an aftermarket company. I haven't really looked at what it is, but
kind of like
be cool.
Zero Carbon brand that Bryant runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like that, but it looks like they actually have like a lot of good venting to get that heat out the top, especially like we've really noticed with our turbo sleds, that heat really builds up there at that like headlight area.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's probably what I think Polaris has in store. What do you think Skidoo has in store?
Well, before we dive into that, I would say I think that Polaris is going to have to drop a 146 boost. That was the biggest hype from last year when it came to Skidoo and Lynx was a 146 boost, and everyone and their mom thought that they should be on one. And that, like we were talking about before the podcast, has proved to be a very bad idea for a lot of people. But it was hyped up, and with the riding styles moving to the way they are when it comes to wanting the sled to wheelie and stuff like that, a lot of people jumped on that train. I think a lot of people, including a lot of people that I know, are going to go away from that and get back into something not necessarily a 65, but I mean, a lot of people are finding, I think even me and Marcus and my brother are finding that the 55 is, for the riding we do, is kind of or a 54 in Skidoo, but it's a very good happy medium, and it's a functionally rowdy sled. With the 146, it can be really unfunctional, but I think Polaris is going to have to do that, and I think they'll sell a lot of them.
I think they'll sell a lot of them, especially because they, your loyal Polaris people haven't had that experience yet, and I think
that's true.
Your very loyal Polaris people didn't have that same experience that the Skidoo people did, or even the people that were around some of the Skidoo people. I think we're fortunate to, foresee that potentially, and especially with you building a Polaris 146, like that really opened the eyes of, well, it's not the most functionality.
Yeah, and what I wonder is if it wasn't, if it was just a stock boost power, you know what I'm saying? Like not an intercooled setup, if it would be more rideable. Of course, I guess you could speak on that from the Skidoo end.
I think with your track setup, on that Polaris, it would be a lot more fun.
Yeah, if it was less power.
Less power. I can't ride that thing.
Dude, it takes a while to get used to. I mean, I'm starting to be able to ride it in certain conditions and stuff like that, but dude, it's a handful. I mean, you didn't ride it much, but
No.
it looked like you could ride it.
You mash the throttle, it'll throw you backwards a little bit.
Yeah, it's more like a mid-throttle sled.
Yeah. No, I think a stock boost would probably be a lot more rideable for sure in the 146 and potentially like a fun sled in certain conditions, but
In certain conditions,
I think it's going to be a very certain condition sled, and I'd never put one in as my only sled for the whole winter.
But you're still going to run into the same problems that even you on more of a, well, I guess it's Skidoo, but it just, with the short track, you just run into certain problems that less power or more power can't really fix.
Yep.
You know, you can mask some of those problems, but at the end of the day, it is a 146.
Yep.
You know,
correct.
So I don't know. All right, yeah, jump into the Skidoo things and what you think and what you would like to see them do.
I think they're going to change the chassis up a little bit this year.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully. I mean, bring the rider back a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I know. You think they're going to go to a whole new chassis?
No,
No.
they'll just modify it a little bit.
Gotcha.
Maybe some new skis and new suspension on the Summit models, hopefully. But I'd like to see them bring the rider back. One of the big things I have against Skidoo is when you're side hilling something steep, you can't get that nose to drop.
And you think it's because the rider position is just too far forward?
Right. And
I
there's too much.
could agree
There's too much weight
100%.
up front, and too much is still behind you.
Yeah.
The tunnel's too long, and yeah.
Looks like there's a whole bus sitting behind you when you're where you're going downhill because you got all that weight up front forward, and then next thing you know, there's 6 foot standing behind you, just dragging along.
That's the thing, dude. We talked about it. It's like when you look at a Polaris from the end of the ski, the back of the ski, to where the start of the running board starts. Take that on a Polaris and then compare it to a Skidoo. The Skidoo's almost damn near the end of the ski.
Yeah,
the
you're like
Polaris, you
standing
have
on it.
8 inches, maybe
Yep.
something like that.
Yeah.
So it makes it way different.
Yeah. Especially in the sliding on a body panel or something like that. You know, if you're doing a maneuver like that, or even just trying to get down something steep, I feel like the Polaris, you can actually pitch it where you want, and it doesn't like to wash. Where the Skidoo, you have zero control and it's got a mind of its own, I feel like.
Yeah.
No, they fixed the washing issue a little bit. It still does it, but you just can't get that front end to drop. You could be standing on the A-arm, and you still can't get it to go downhill when you're side hilling something steep. I'd like to see them fix that issue.
Yeah.
So you think that's running board related? Or, I mean, what would you say? Because, I mean, I would think that if you're further forward, it would solve that problem more or less. You know what I'm saying?
You would think, but I don't know if
But it
it's
still doesn't.
chassis design or suspension geometry or what does it, how the skis are kind of sucked underneath the side panels. Whereas like a Polaris are way out front of you.
Kind of raked out.
Yeah.
The distance between the skis and the track, is a substantially different proportion, it seems like.
Yeah.
And especially, I think, you've had the Ice Age Elevate spindles on yours this year. And I think that makes a big difference getting that front end up. I mean, we kind of joked about it, the stock one looking like a grandpa sled, but it really, it kind of sits really heavy in the front end and looks, I don't know.
It's like a squatted pickup.
It just doesn't look like it wants to go get it,
Yeah.
Or the Elevate kit on it looks pretty mean and aggressive. And I was a huge fan of riding it yesterday. That's for damn sure.
Did you spend a lot of time on it?
Yeah, like 30 minutes, not a ton, but
Yeah, but enough. Yeah.
enough to make a decision, I think. So
Oh, Jesus God.
Got AJ riding a Skidoo next year.
All right. What are we at?
Well-
Let's.
okay, then there's Arctic Cat. They got this 858.
Oh, yeah. So they've released
they've
what
already
they're gonna
released
do.
what they have, and it's going to be the 858 for 2025. And I don't know. I haven't heard if there's going to be more coming here soon, if they're going to drop more stuff or not. But I've heard grumblings that there's some boost in the development for them, and potentially some more exciting stuff coming for them. I haven't heard anything like super, like, yeah, this is happening or anything like that. But I've definitely heard some grumblings that there's some potential boost on that new 858 engine that they've been in development of.
Factory for this year.
I don't think it'll be for this year.
Yeah,
I
couldn't
don't
imagine.
think they're ready for that. But I do believe they're in the development stage of it. And there's, since there's grumblings about it, and now that they got the 858 in the Catalyst chassis, I think, there's probably a couple prototypes floating around that have some sort of boost hook to it.
Yeah.
So
with that being said, do you like what Arctic Cat's done? Would you be a buyer of that?
I haven't rode the chassis yet to know for sure, but I do, looking at the chassis and then talking to someone I really trust. Like I do think that they've made a huge improvement in the chassis, and I don't care who you are, you can't knock the power of that horse, or like the horsepower that Arctic Cat can put to the ground. And I think the 858 will probably walk all over all the NA sleds, even the 9R. I think it's going to walk circles around the 9R just because they make a hell of a power plant. And I think that's going to be probably the best NA sled on the market next year. And with their shock improvements, I think it'll probably...
Are they still running the Fox? Well, I think they are, right?
They've got, I think it's 3 different options in shocks for this year.
The ATAC, and then...
They've got the ATAC, they've got the coil over Foxes, and then they've got some other new shock on there. I don't know if it's an Arctic Cat specific shock or if it's a Fox shock. It looks very foxy, but it's like got some... It's pretty foxy looking, let me tell you. I don't know, it's got some Kashima in it and stuff like that. It looks like a pretty trick shock, It kind of reminds me of an Olin looking,
really?
Like it has that trick look to it for sure. So, and they're talking big game about it. So I don't know how it's gonna be on the snow, but I have one concern with the 858 in the Catalyst chassis, just not knowing how it's gonna handle the power. But everybody with the 600s and even the 600 boosted seem to be very, very happy with it, and I don't see the little bit of weight that the 858 is going to be over the 600. I don't see it making that big of a change in the chassis to where it'd be like, oh, this thing is unrideable by any means. But,
yeah. So would you be interested in buying one?
I'm really tossing it around. I think it'd be pretty sweet to throw one in the fleet, just especially with the excitement of the 858 to see if it lives up to the hype. I kind of want to get the wife one because, it's kind of an excuse to get her a new sled, and then I can test it out. So.
What about you? Would you be interested in that?
We were talking about buying one for the fleet. I think it'd be pretty interesting
for the
to ride
business,
one.
but I'm talking personally.
Personally, probably not. I haven't been on an Arctic Cat in all the years I've been mountain riding.
Yeah.
But no, I'd be curious to ride one. I know a buddy that's got one, and hopefully he can come out and we can test it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're listening, Matt, why don't you come ride with us?
Yeah.
But no, I think it's a very intriguing thing, and it builds a lot of excitement for me that, having that third manufacturer that's maybe coming back around. I know they have a new CEO or whatever over Textron, the snowmobile department. He's been there for over a year now. They had a lot of turnover before that, and he seems to really be pushing this development and seems to have a better understanding of where it needs to go. So I'm pretty hopeful that, they're going to try to get back in the market here in the next couple of years. And I think it's only going to help push the other two to have to, up it as well. I see the Arctic Cat chassis being very Polaris.
That's what I do like about it.
Yeah.
Like, as a Polaris guy, you can bounce back and forth and you don't feel like you're on, on the moon. Yeah, on some foreign thing.
Exactly. So I really do think that we're going to see the Arctic Cat strive forward next winter. Obviously, I've really had a change in heart, and I feel like having boost almost every day is kind of in my thing now. But I just that's probably the one NA sled that has me intrigued right now. I'm not sold on the 9R in any way. I've got quite a few miles on the sucker now. And
Dude, what's so funny though is you talk to so many of these people, and they're like, dude, like the guy we were talking to the other day, the 9R is by far the best. It's just so much more rideable than the boost and all this stuff. And I don't know, dude. I don't know. I mean, you've had some time on it. I guess for me, it's like, it might be more functional in some situations, but it's like, I still want to be able to go and pull a wheelie and hear the turbo blow off,
Honestly, for me, this might be my setup, and this might be considered, and why I'm really considering the Skidoo is okay, my sled, chaos, boost. I can have that thing rowdy as I want it to be. And then I can lock that rear shock out and I can go climb, tree ride with, you know, whatever. Like I can make that sled work in that situation too. And then I was riding Marcus's Summit, and he had the limiter strap tightened up, and it was like, all right, this thing very, very rideable. Like, you know, I mean, I could go put it through some shit, and I could not. I didn't know the limiter strap thing. I'm not a Skidoo guy. I was like, this thing won't come over for me. I was like, I don't know what the hell the deal is. And he was like, oh, loosen that sucker up. So loosen it up, and then all of a sudden,
You just have the little deal on your side thing.
Yeah.
Yep. And then that thing was rowdy as could be. So
Really?
I feel like, you know, having that option or having the lockout rear shock on the Polaris, those two sleds seem very functional and usable power for me. And I like having the turbo to like get me out of situations at times. So I think that's more important than, you know, and to put that in Polaris terms, like Chaos Pro, I think that's more important than 9R Boost. But I don't know. I've probably got 150 miles now on the 9R, I think.
Is that a Chaos?
I've been riding the Chaos a lot more. I rode the Pro one day, and I do not like the Pro 9R one bit. That's not for me.
You can tell a big difference.
Yeah, and they changed the rail tips, but I mean, the Pro is just it's not fun enough. Like it's not light enough in the front end for me. It just really struggles. I can't get it to do what I want it to do, not even just doing bow ties, re-entry, stuff like that. I can't get that sled to do what I want it to in the trees to dance, or even like out in a meadow to dance the way I want it. I got to have that front end a little lighter for me. So I've been riding the Chaos a lot more, and I like the Chaos part of it. I can make it do what I want it to 30% of the time, but the 9R just doesn't have the top end or the grunt to get it the way I really want it at our elevation. That is, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's completely stock too. There's nothing done to it, but it's not, for the price. It hasn't impressed me. I'll say that.
Yeah, but dude, it's like we were talking. I went out Articat's website.
Yeah.
And I started playing around with the SnowCheck, just like looking at it. And my build was like 21 grand.
Really? That much? Huh. See, I thought
It was like 20 or 21 grand.
Dang.
But that was with like ATAC suspension and all the stuff.
Gotcha.
But it's like, there again, it's an NA sled.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, okay, before we go into his, as of now, and obviously this is subject to change, if you had to snow check tomorrow, there was no snowmobiles left on the showroom floors, you had to pick where you're going to ride next year right now, what would you do?
So knowing that I have my turd in the shop and it's I'm going to keep it for next year, 24 boost, I will keep that sled for next year. And
Even though I hate it.
even though it's a turd, I will keep it. So knowing I'll have that in the fleet, I 100% will go SnowCheck a Summit. Is it Expert? Is that what
Summit
it is?
Expert,
Yeah, Summit Expert turbo 154. And I think I'd have 155 and a 154 in the fleet. I don't think I would do a 146 turbo, even if they had the option. I think I'd have a Skidoo and a Polaris in the fleet, and if one's running, I'll be happy as can be. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Dang, that got dark. All right, Marcus, what do you?
I was leaning towards the Polaris this coming year, but after riding the 9R and a little bit of AJ's boost, I think I'm going to stick with the Skidoo again.
Yeah.
I'll probably keep the 146 for next year and snow check another 54.
And dump the 54 you got. Like
Dump that or keep it for a rental or something, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I'm happy with Skidoo where they're at now. But
Yeah.
a couple little changes, I'd be a lot more happy.
Dude, the problem is, okay, just hear me out. If the Polaris, you'd never had any problems with it. Like, I don't, like, for the stuff that we talk about and we ride, I think it's the best.
Yeah.
But it's just if you have runnability problems.
Yep. And in my situation, I love the Polaris chassis. I will say that 100%.
Yeah.
But the problem is like I need to rely upon a sled every single day in the winter, especially with the business. Like I need a sled to run. And that's why I put the money into that thing, is to make it a really reliable sled where I wouldn't have any issues. And I don't think any of that stuff hurt the, well, I know it didn't hurt the reliability because it's electrical issues. The problem is I cannot trust the Polaris to get me through every single day. I've got 600 miles on that sled, and 300 of it have been in limp mode or check engine light on and off all the time, where I'm having to shut it off, restart it to even get out of drainages, stuff like that. Like, it's made guide life miserable because the thing just won't run. But it's like, man, we need every single sled in the fleet today, so you're gonna ride the turd and make it work, you know. And it just that's very, very frustrating.
That's
you know?
so sad that you're calling that thing a turd.
It's a pretty turd at least, but
God, you know, dude, snowmobiling, like when it comes to sleds, it's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember how you literally loved that thing. Like before an issue happened,
Yep.
You're like, dude, I am so happy with this thing. I absolutely love this thing.
the first 250 miles
Yeah.
on top of the moon, the thing was fantastic.
Yeah.
But I've had to ride a 9R for the last 4 days straight now because mine's in the shop getting an injector and an injector wiring harness and who else knows what now, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's just problem after problem. This is the third trip it's been in the shop now, just for, you know, warranty type items, like big items. So I don't know. I love the chassis. I do. But I watch Marcus hop on his same sled every single day, pull the rope once, push the shot the rest of the day,
Beat
and
the
just
heck out of it.
ride the
Yeah.
piss out of that poor thing.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. We'll see how tomorrow goes, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you ever go to a Polaris or a Cat?
I love the Polaris chassis. I'd ride it in a heartbeat, but like AJ's saying, I want my sled to run.
Yeah.
I hate not being able to work on my own stuff, especially if it's warranty stuff. I mean, I can't do it, so that's why I've got a Skidoo, because I know they run.
Yeah.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. Well, let's go on to me.
Yeah, let's hear what you think of that, Brent.
No, I mean, I rode the Lynx last year,
Yep.
and I know you guys don't like the Lynx, but
Okay, and the Lynx was 154.
yep,
Yep. Okay.
love that sled.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Like a lot of fun. I mean, that thing would, you know, with the 3-inch lug, it had great power, hop out of the snow, suspension was great. I liked it. The thing I didn't like about it was the exact same thing you're talking about. When I got it into anything technical, I thought it was really unpredictable.
Yeah.
So that's when I put the Polaris skis on it. It helped, but I could not get used to the rider position being so far forward. When I've spent, you know, 6 years on a Polaris where I'm back, that's just more comfortable to me.
Yeah.
So this year I'm riding 2 Polarises, 46 and 65. I love Polaris. I won't buy a Skidoo next year. I won't buy a Lynx. It'll be another Polaris. If they release something that doesn't interest me, then I'll just keep the 2 that I have so I don't take a 50% hit in the shorts because used sled prices are falling so fast. But I've done, you've done a lot of work on this 46.
Yeah.
And we've gotten it to be a purpose-built machine that for certain things, is a lot of fun. The chassis, I don't think you can beat it. The reliability, knock on every piece of wood you got. I've never had reliability problems with a Polaris. And I was just looking at old pictures, put like 2,800 miles on my axis, or on one of my axes. I put like 22 on the other. Never did anything except put oil and gas in them. No top ends, no nothing. Never had a reliability problem. I've had 2 matrices. No, sorry, 3. Because these. Yeah. So I've had 3 matrices. Put a lot of miles on the first one. The 140, that one I probably put 1,500 miles on. And then this one I've put like 900 miles on. This one I have like 200 miles on. I've never had a single problem. So to me, I think it's the best performing sled on the mountain for me. That's just my opinion. I think it's the best chassis with what Voke's able to do engine wise. I think it's the most power you can put on the snow, or for a decent price. I like the aftermarket that Polaris has to offer. I like the skins, hoods, and the Fox shocks and the Olins and backwoods. Obviously, you can get that on Skidoo. I like a lot of the stuff that the Polaris has to offer. When it comes past just stock and factory, I like the aftermarket. I would argue that it's probably the most developed aftermarket, chassis.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get near the amount of stuff. And diving into that, like we were talking about, it's like this is the first year I've been able to do that. And it's a lot of fun because you have choices,
Yeah. Well, and the ease of doing aftermarket on the Polaris is significantly easier than the BRP.
Yeah.
Either Lynx or Skidoo. It's just significantly easier.
Yeah. So if I had a sled that wouldn't run, obviously I'd be in a different boat, but knock on wood, every piece of wood in the entire forest, I haven't. And so there's not really a reason for me to switch. I think they're good performing sleds. Most of the time they're pretty durable, which a lot of people haven't had that experience. But I mean, I've hit a lot, threw that thing into a creek.
Other than A-arms on the Polaris, I think they're a very durable chassis, and I think they can take a lot. Actually, and I like being able to work on them, like the ease of that. Like, I can't knock the Polaris for what they got for the feel, the strength, everything like that. It's the issues.
Yeah,
you got to get that figured out.
Going back to the SnowCheck thing, and something that I wish Polaris would do, I wish they would come with better suspension, especially for heavier guys that are more aggressive riders. I wish they came with a better shock package. And it'd be cool to see something like Lynx.
They could do 2 shock packages, like a more high end shock package. I feel like they could offer
Well, and they say that that's their velocity shock.
Yeah, but it's
versus their normal. Yeah. I mean, for me, a lot of people really like it, but it's like for me, dude, I can't get that thing stiff enough.
If you're bottoming out on the hump of the trail, just rolling over it at 5 mile an hour, I can't think you can sell that as like a high end shock. It's just not okay in my book.
But dude, these Öhlins, I'm still testing out kind of the Öhlins versus the Fox. I'm happy with both. I'm really happy with the Foxes right now. They're plush. They don't bottom near what a stock shock does. And I felt that the Fox I like them for technical riding better. Now, that could be adjusting. I haven't spent a ton of time adjusting either of them. But I don't know if it's the valving on the Öhlins is stiffer. It could be. But I really like the Fox and Öhlins. And
yeah, I think after, the next couple of weeks, we're going to have to do a full shock
we will,
podcast to break that down. But I think with Polaris, that is one of the things, like for me, is I have to do aftermarket shocks on it.
Yeah.
Like I have to do that. It's a must do.
But see, the problem with me is like the way I looked at it is when I had that Lynx versus a stock Polaris boost, I thought that the BRP turbo was stronger.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, it just feels like it has a lot more power, especially low end power.
Yep.
Right. But I was like, I can fix that with tuning.
Yep.
But here was my case. I didn't feel like I could change the chassis of the Skidoo.
Yep.
So I could change all the little things that like I didn't like about the Polaris, which weren't huge things, right? Overall, I really liked the chassis.
Yep.
But I wanted to fix the suspension. I wanted to fix the low end on the boost.
Yep.
And so I could fix that very easily. But when it came to changing the things on the Skidoo that I didn't like about it, they were kind of too big to change.
Can't change it. Yeah.
What am I going to do? Cut the running boards off, weld them back? I mean, I don't know what to do.
I'll let you know next year.
Yeah. So it was like with the Polaris, it was just the things I liked versus disliked. The Polaris, I think, is just, for me, it's the best.
Yeah.
Right now,
No, I agree. And that's what I loved about the BRP is it seems like it's a very usable power. I think it's a very usable power, but it's not. I mean, I think my boost probably top end, like it screams when it's ripping. But I think the BRP engine and the turbo, I mean, their power is plenty. Like it's everything you need for what you're trying to do.
But it's just like for me, the biggest thing is I need to be comfortable on the chassis.
Yeah.
Even if I don't have all the power in the world.
Yep.
Because I'll ride, I'd ride a 600 Polaris better than I'd ride a 850 turbo Skidoo in the technical, because I'm just not comfortable on that chassis right now.
Correct. Yeah, no, and I think that's where that might be something I have over you right now is I got a lot more freedom to ride. And
Right.
I'm going to, you know, if I get that Skidoo, I'll be able to be used to it in a week, where it would probably take you 6-7 days to, you know, or 6-7 weeks to get used to it with the amount that you get a ride right now, you know. And that's obviously, hopefully your situation changes, but right now, the way it stands, I would be pretty comfortable in that chassis a lot faster than you would, I think.
And I guess my argument too is, you could argue this either way. I don't think even if you're comfortable, it's as good of a chassis in the technical stuff.
No,
No,
You know
it's
what I'm
not.
saying? It's just, it's not.
It's just
like,
not. No.
But so for me, like, I got used to that Lynx. It wasn't a ton of miles. I put like 500 miles on that Lynx.
Yeah.
But it was enough to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I was uncomfortable. It was just, this is not, and don't get me wrong, with the Polaris skis, it was in this kind of the same ballpark. But you would get into those certain situations where I need to come down, you know, and steep stuff, pin it, you know, make this tree and be very precise. Because if you're not, you're going to get stuck.
Yeah.
I would mess up on the Lynx, where I felt like, God, if I was on my Polaris, I would be more comfortable doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Obviously in meadows and stuff, not the
You're
case.
fine, yeah.
You know, but
No, when there's consequences there, I have to agree. I think the Polaris is definitely a lot more comfortable and handles it a lot better. I do think so.
but
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Yamaha's going to come out with anything.
maybe we should just create our own brand now.
Let's do it. Why not? Maybe we'll build a sled that runs. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was one of the things with like the Lynx when I had it. It was like, I put skis on it, but it's like there was nothing aftermarket, and maybe because it was solid from the factory, but it was like I didn't need to put suspension on it. The power was good,
Yep.
you know, and it was expensive to go up in power.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the aftermarket wasn't exciting to me. Like with Polaris, dude, I get pretty amped on there's just so many things you can do with them.
Yeah.
You know?
No, and I think that's something that you thoroughly enjoy, and you kind of got a taste of that this year, and you kind of love that aspect of it. But I think that's something that makes the snowmobiling passion for you now, is that being able to do that aftermarket world almost, I think.
Yeah, it's fun.
Like you enjoy that build process, I think.
Not putting it all together.
Not the physical aspect at all. But
the mental behind the computer, like, ooh, this would be cool. This would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what AJ is for.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Here I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, dude, the cat would be interesting to ride.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have to throw one in just to know what she can do. I think we need one of those.
Yeah.
But no, I don't see. I guess probably tomorrow when this comes out, I guess that we get the sneak peek on the Skidoo stuff and Lynx stuff, because the 20th.
Yeah,
But-
and dude, what was it? I was gonna ask you. We talked about this. There's liquid, or water meth in the Skidoos. I've heard that a couple places.
I've heard some grumblings on that they're talking about some water methanol like stuff potentially in the Skidoos, like from factory.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen anything. I don't know anything for sure, and I don't have a good resource at Skidoo, but I've definitely heard grumblings that they're testing some water methanol, you know, injection on some Skidoo stuff. So it might be something. You never know.
Dude. At the end of the day, all these chassis are good.
Oh,
I mean, there's problems with every single one of them, but
Absolutely.
like,
I'll get a lemon from Skidoo too. I
Yeah.
can guarantee it.
But I mean, it's like, you know, for us, it's like you're kind of in between right now.
Yeah.
You think Skidoo is just better for you right now, and I think Polaris is better for me right now.
Yep.
You know, but I mean, there's problems with all of them.
Yep.
You know, so
Pick your poison.
yeah, pick your poison.
Just pick it.
Yep.
No.
Well,
Whatever happened to that Taiga brand? Them electric mountain sleds?
Oh, yeah.
They just fall off the face of the earth or what?
well, I think that they realize that cold probably messes up batteries more than they think. But wait, we have battery heaters.
Hey.
But wait, they have to run power from the battery to heat.
Shit.
But the battery has to work first.
Yeah.
What was that at X Games this year? Did they have Skidoos, or were they the
Oh, I heard about that. All the ones pulling the sleds up the hill were electric.
They're taking the snowboard and skiers back to the top of the hill. They're all electric. I think they were Skidoos. I think
so.
Yeah, that's probably. Did you see how many of them were there?
There was a bunch.
Yeah, because what would happen is they'd probably take them up the hill and then they'd run out of charge, so they'd have to, bobsled them down and then charge them for one more.
Down the half pipe we go.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll take my 2 smoke and keep going forward with it.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, anything else you hooligans want to add?
No, I think in the next coming weeks we're going to see some exciting stuff, and hopefully we'll be able to finalize what we're thinking we're going to snow check and see what we're feeling out and where we're at completely through this winter. It's been absolutely dumping here in Colorado. The snow's been fantastic. We've rode like the last 12 days straight now, and it's been just epic conditions. So
yeah, I was happy. I got to ride Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So
that's a big 3
that's a
days
big
for
week
you.
for me.
That's a big week. So
Yeah.
So no, it's been awesome. Finally winter showed up. We've been getting content. We've been riding with a bunch of people. It's been a blast. And hopefully we'll see some of you guys out on the snow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, real quick. We don't have everything lined up, but it sounds like we're doing a ride day Saturday, March 2nd. Details will be announced on Instagram. So follow Cook Bros on Instagram. We'll have all the tags up. Follow us on Instagram. We'll keep you guys posted on that. We don't have a certain location except the general area of Craig, Colorado. So we'll get that out to you guys as soon as we work through some problems that we're facing right now. So thank you guys. And that's all I have to say.
Absolutely, guys. We're working through those legal issues right now. And as soon as we have all that finalized, you will be the first to know.
Yeah.
So it'll be on everything.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Peace.
See you.
Let her eat.